Now, from the station on your side, this is Wavy News 10.
Good evening. We have some breaking news from Sanford, Florida. The verdict is in for the George Zimmerman murder trial.
Jury find George Zimmerman not guilty. So say we all
Not guilty. The verdict came in just before 10 tonight. The all-female jury deliberated for 16 hours. Earlier this evening, the jury asked the judge for a clarification. They wanted to know the definition of manslaughter. There are three choices tonight: guilty of second-degree murder, guilty of manslaughter, or not guilty. And tonight, not guilty was the answer. George Zimmerman showed very little emotion when the verdict was read. His lawyers smiling, his wife crying tears of joy. Reports from the courthouse said Trayvon Martin's family was not in the courtroom to hear that verdict. Prosecutors spoke to the media right after the verdict, saying they had not yet had a chance to speak to Martin's parents, who they called a classy family who controlled their emotions when they had to and grieved when they had to. But Martin has many more supporters, hundreds of them outside gathering around the courthouse tonight. And when they heard not guilty, there were tears of joy, yells of justice for Trayvon Martin. The prosecution told the media they put their best case forward, and here's Jay Gray live from Sanford, Florida tonight.
Good evening. There is a decision now in Central Florida. The jury spent more than 16 hours reviewing testimony and evidence from the trial, and late this evening told George Zimmerman and the world where the facts had led them in this case.
verdict, we the jury find George Zimmerman not guilty.
There was a brief smile from George Zimmerman as he learned he would leave the Seminole County Courthouse tonight a free man.
You have no further business with the court. Okay, thank you.
The jury's decision comes after more than a year of questions and conflict. Trayvon Martin was shot and killed February 26, 2012. Initially, the teenager's death and lack of an arrest sparked outrage.
Justice!
Thousands of protesters poured into Sanford for marches and rallies in a movement that gathered national attention.
There he is.
More than a month after Martin's death, Zimmerman was charged with second-degree murder and surrendered to sheriff's deputies.
I'd like you to tell me one or two other things that you've heard about this case.
And more than a year later, a jury was selected and the trial began. 12 days of testimony from 56 witnesses centered on audio tapes.
So you think he's yelling help?
And other evidence from the night Martin was killed. Pieces of a confusing and controversial puzzle the jurors had to piece together before returning their verdict. News of that verdict echoed to more than 100 people who had gathered outside the courthouse, many frustrated with the decision. While inside, members of the prosecution spoke briefly about the process.
I am disappointed, as we are with the verdict, but we accept it.
A decision that ends the trial, but not the concern and controversy over this case. Now, the defense team has also just talked after this verdict. Lead attorney Mark Amara saying, quote, he's grateful for the verdict. Don West also saying that the prosecution was disgraceful. He also went on to say that he's glad this tragedy didn't turn into a travesty. That is the latest live here outside the Seminole County Courthouse. I'm Jay Gray. Back to you.
On to our second breaking news story of the night. Closer to home, a plane headed to Norfolk skidded off the runway and into a wooded area near Naval Air Station Jacksonville. Now, we're told 167 passengers were on board. Somehow no one was hurt. The Delta Airline charter flight 8957 left Guantanamo Bay in Cuba, stopped in Jacksonville on its way to Norfolk. The plane was carrying military members and civilians. Those passengers were transferred to another Delta flight from Jacksonville International Airport. That flight was scheduled to depart just a few minutes ago, and that crash is under investigation. New at 11, a man was shot in the chest in Portsmouth tonight. It happened just after 7 on Channing Avenue in the Craddock section of the city. Witnesses say the man was originally in the vehicle when it crashed into a tree after he was shot. Neighbors called 911, were told the suspect is still on the run. The mother of a missing man fears he's dead. 25-year-old Jovan Morris was last seen more than a week ago at the Woodstock 2 apartments where he was visiting a friend. Morris was supposed to pick his girlfriend up from work that day, but never showed. She found his car parked at the apartment complex, but no sign of Morris. 10 on your side's Lauren Compton learned this case may be connected to another investigation. Lauren.
And that's because one of Morris's good friends was shot last week, and his family believes that shooting has something to do with Morris's disappearance.
The rough water, a subtle breeze.
These are the sounds of the Pasquotank waterfront. Now a more unsettling sound has become a part of this landscape. Pleas for help.
If you see my son or you know where he is, please just notify us.
Since 25-year-old Javon Morris went missing, this is where his mother, girlfriend, and family come to pray and hope for his return.
We just want him home. We just want anybody who knows anything who can help us to bring him back home.
Morris was last seen on July 5th. When he didn't pick up his girlfriend, Dorothy Stallings, from work that day, she kept calling him, worried about what was going on.
He wasn't answering none of his phone calls. He'll pick up the phone for anybody if you call him.
Stallings later found Morris's car with the keys still inside at Woodstock 2 Apartments. That's when his family knew something was wrong.
There's some type of foul play. We know this.
Just 2 days before Morris went missing, family members tell me his friend Ricky Etheridge was shot. Morris rushed to help his friend, and now his family believes his good intentions may have made him a target.
It was his friend that was shot, and he took him to the emergency room, and he actually saved this young man's life by taking him to the emergency room. And then he was talked to by the police on the 5th, and the same evening he disappeared.
Until they know why Morris disappeared, his family plans to keep coming here, to keep searching, and keep pleading. For the past few days, the family has met at that waterfront to pray for Morris's return. Investigators tell 10 on Your Side they have spent more than 500 man-hours searching for Morris. If you know anything about this, call the Elizabeth City Pasquotank County Crime Line at 252-335-5555. In the newsroom, Lauren Compton, 10 on Your Side.
2 people died when a car ran off the road and hit several trees in York County. It happened a little before 3 this morning on Route 134, which is also Hampton Highway. State police say the driver and a passenger in the back seat died at the scene. Crews took another passenger to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Neighbors rescued a dog from a fire in Virginia Beach. The kitchen of the condo on Castilian Drive right near Town Center caught fire around 3:30. No one was home at the time, but firefighters were able to resuscitate the dog, and the dog is expected to be okay. 2 babies shot, still no suspects. Hampton police need your help finding the person who shot the children Wednesday night. It happened on Childs Avenue near West Pembroke. Police tell us both boys are in stable condition. Cameron Hainsworth was just a year old. He was shot in the leg, and his 6-month-old brother's head was grazed by a bullet. Both boys are at CHKD tonight. A massive fire on a California highway. The smoke so bad, drivers had to travel on the wrong side of the road.
And we are looking at a much drier Sunday. A great beach forecast for tomorrow. The UV index is going to be high, surfing around 2 feet. Water temperature 67 to 73 degrees. Rip current risk low, and the Gulf forecast looking pretty good. But the heat and the humidity will be back by tomorrow afternoon. And it is going to be a hot week ahead. More details coming up.
We want to take you back to Sanford, Florida. We're following breaking news all night. George Zimmerman has been found not guilty by the jury of 6 women. The verdict came in just around 10 o'clock tonight. They deliberated for 16 hours, and what you're seeing now are the crowds outside the Seminole County Courthouse where this trial had taken place. It was highly publicized. This is the case involving Florida teen Trayvon Martin. He was 17 years old. Zimmerman admitted to killing him. The question was it self-defense or a crime? And tonight, the jury finding George Zimmerman not guilty. At least 1 person is dead after a tanker truck flipped over and caught fire in downtown Los Angeles. The fire burned for more than 40 minutes, leading drivers to go the wrong way on the freeway just to escape that heavy smoke. Fire officials warn there is a potential public hazard near manhole covers and storm drains in that area because of the explosive runoff from the tanker spill. Still no word on what was in the truck. Scary moments for some shoppers in North Carolina. A driver hit the gas pedal instead of the brakes and ended up driving into a Greenville mall. It happened around 7 in the morning. A mall manager says the driver is an elderly woman who gets her exercise in by walking at the mall. Although she escaped serious injury, she went to a hospital just to be sure. Coming up next, the Virginia Beach Boardwalk becomes a blank canvas for local art. But could the rain wash away those pretty pictures? Let's take you back one more time to Sanford, Florida. We have a live feed outside the Seminole County Courthouse, where George Zimmerman has been found not guilty in the death of Florida teen Trayvon Martin. This was a highly publicized case. The public has many emotions, and many supporters of Martin gathered outside tonight to voice their opinions after they heard the verdict. They said they felt there was no justice, and now the media speaking to all of them and getting their opinion on this case, one that pulls at so many heartstrings in this country. We're going to continue to follow the story throughout the night. You can help fight cancer and get a good deal on a wedding dress. The Brides Against Breast Cancer nationwide tour of gowns made a stop in Virginia Beach today. 1,000 designer wedding gowns were available at discount prices. Organizers say it's a great chance to help yourself and others at the same time. Some morning rain didn't stop chalk artists from taking over the boardwalk today. The Chalk the Walk event was held between 15th and 17th Streets at the oceanfront. The theme this year, 50 years of fun in the sun, which happens to coincide with the 50th anniversary of Virginia Beach.
We've never done anything like this, and so we figured we'd give it a shot. And we played with the concept all week long until we came up with this idea of the new school and the old school. It's supposed to be 50 years at the beach.
I don't know. I'm hoping to win. I'm hoping to win something. But win or lose, I mean, it's the experience. So, and this experience was pretty fun.
You can check out that artwork all weekend. A Hampton boy who's fighting cancer got a big surprise today.
Huh? What do you think?
Volunteers with the Rock Solid Foundation and the We Promise Foundation built a new playground for 5-year-old Reginald Charity III. He was recently diagnosed with leukemia. Chick-fil-A and Couture Cupcakes donated food for the volunteers and the boy's family.
When he saw the truck pull up, Rock Solid, he knew his playground was coming, and he just screamed, and just to see him happy gave me tears of joy, because there have been some days that he wasn't so happy because of how he felt or some of the challenges he's been facing.
They're going through an adult battle of no fault of their own, and what Rock Solid and the We Promise Foundation do is we just make sure that the children don't lose the act to play.
Rock Solid's Play It Forward program builds play sets for local children battling cancer. They plan to build 20 more this year.
Now, your Super Dapper 10 forecast with meteorologist Tiffany Savona.
Wet start to the day, but it turned out pretty nice, and Tiffany has some good news for the rest of our week.
I know, it is going to finally dry out